you've all been waiting for, part 2 and the conclusion of our interview with John and Jeremy from Founders Brewing Company. Enjoy.
Hey, I've got a question, and I know the names are different, but what is the difference between KBS and CBS? And then CBS still made?
So CBS came about because there was a fella in town, very well respected former chef who had started his own company of bourbon barrel aging various things. And one of the things that he made was maple syrup aged in bourbon barrels. And got back to me that he was looking for somebody to take these off his hands when he was done syrup aging them. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty fun. So as tradition, we started with putting some chocolate coffee oatmeal stout into one of them. Those are all breakfasty things, and some maple syrup is breakfasty, and gosh, it came out great. So we named it Canadian Breakfast Stout after our friends up north, where there's plenty of maple, as opposed to down there in Kentucky. So that's where CBS came from. It gets aged, it has the maple syrup added to it. Okay,
gotcha. Now, is it just regional? Do you guys still brew that? You still make it? It's like I don't see it as often as I once did.
Yeah, we were doing it fairly regularly for a while, and then kind of pumped the brakes on it a bit, and I think we came out with it once since then. And I think it'll make its appearances here and there, but I think one of the things we learned, especially through the KBS experience, is that, man, people really like the thrill of the chase. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We kind of made KBS more accessible. I thought it was a good thing. I thought it was an opportunity to get this beer in more people's hands, and they'll really appreciate us for it. And no, that didn't actually. That we actually got a lot of pushback, being like, I don't care anymore. I just saw it on the shelf at this grocery store. Now I don't want it.
Fine. So the KBS spicy chocolate was one of the ones that survived the airplane flight that I mentioned earlier. Yes, and I had it and I loved it. It was fantastic. KBS spicy chocolate. And it was funny when I had it. Because I thought, man, I hope this thing isn't overly spicy, and it wasn't at all.
No,
in fact, it was funny because it's a 12% beer. It's a stout. I rated it on tap like a 4, and if I had it again, I'd probably rate it a 5. And when I was drinking it at my house one day. I'm checking it in. And Scott's like, "Where are you? You're drinking a 12% beer." And I'm like, "I'm at the house.
It was
Life
like
is
10
good."
a.m. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't 10 a.m. I was like, but did
right
they
after
check that
school
thing?
dropout.
I know.
I saw this ABV he was checking. I go, "What the hell are you doing? Where did you get that?"
But you guys are doing looks like the KBS Hazelnut Fudge, which maybe by the time this podcast drops, is either going to be coming out or it's going to be out in February. Can you talk about that and some other ones that maybe you could tease a little bit that are coming out in 2025?
Yeah, we're trying to keep the KBS fresh. Yeah. I think we've learned that the consumers, the line extension, the variants, they create excitement, and in an age where brand loyalty is tough, rebuys can be tough. You kind of got to keep some fresh ideas out there. I'll be the first to admit I did push back a bit on some of these things that were sacred to me, like KBS and All Day. And I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, no, those beers they're perfect. You're gonna mess with those. What are you gonna do? You're gonna change it? You're gonna make it all gimmicky? Well, yeah, okay. So maybe we did, and turns out it actually worked.
I wish you could say that again. That is so funny. Can you make it all gimmicky?
I don't know. I'm a bit of a purist. I'm getting old, and I'm kids and their gimmicks, but.
Jeremy's like, it's perfect already. What the hell are we doing?
What are we doing?
I've been having some fun with them. It's they're good backdrops for other flavors. I just want to keep it. I just want to keep it. I just want some integrity behind it, right? I don't want to just jump the shark and do something stupid just for the sake of doing something stupid and ridiculous. So I'm really trying to play into flavors that in my mind, I can work into there and they all coexist in harmony. I'm really bothered. My palate's sensitive, but I have to have balance in these beers. So, and I'm glad I had to get out of my shell and try some new things, because we came across some pretty cool things, including hazelnut fudge. How's that double oak going down for you, Scott?
Yeah, that one's gone. That one's gone. I bought the last two that the liquor store had. That was it. The next one I've got, and this is brand new for me, cinnamon vanilla cocoa.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
KBS. So I found that brand new the other day. Along those lines, blueberry. I've had regular hazel. Steve mentioned espresso. There's a chocolate espresso.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hit the liquor store and got every one that they had in the last several weeks, and I've gone through them all, and everyone. To your point, Jeremy, they all lend themselves to the KBS. All those flavors, they run right in line with that KBS, and they're all great. They're all perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was important to me to like I said, have a little integrity about this. I didn't, I think Fruit Loops KBS, you could do a lot with the marketing of it, but I don't know. I didn't feel right.
Yeah. I think goes down another path. Right?
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I mean, I've had such a variety of your beer. Like, I'm looking at what I've had this year was your mango, the fruit beer, and also the fruit wood, another one. Say that 5 times fast, and then just a couple others as well. The solid gold from a few years ago that I had. I mean, there's so many good ones, but I gotta tell you guys, there's one in particular, and I think Scott's gonna know what I'm talking about here.
I know, but I'm not going to steal your thunder.
I'm not going to steal my thunder. So we did a few months ago, we did our top 10 beers of 2024. And this almost was my number one beer. We did a back in October, actually it was September. We did an episode because we wanted to try different variations of Oktoberfest. And so we did, and we were talking about Oktoberfest because I'm a big Oktoberfest guy. We wanted to serve the Oktoberfest community, right? So I'm in stores and I'm looking around and I'm going, okay, got to try some variations of Oktoberfest. All of a sudden I see this Founders, the ultimate Oktoberfest barrel aged.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say the regular one. You went the full octane one.
And I couldn't have grabbed that thing. I mean, it was just like, give it to me now. I got to take it home. And I did. And I got to tell you something, guys. You knocked it out of the park. Talk to me about it.
So, I mean, at this point, we've kind of tried putting everything in a bourbon barrel just to see what happens, right?
And we probably have, so he's not lying. We've tried everything. Some of it doesn't leave the tap room, but we've tried a lot of it.
The cool thing about this beer, so Oktoberfest is actually brewed to a higher gravity, and then I dilute it down with some water backing, and I do that to make sure that it gets enough malty character, but without being I still want it to be drinkable, right? It's Oktoberfest. You're supposed to be drinking it by the, what do they sell them in? Are they liters?
Steins or whatever.
Steins,
yeah, whatever. Big quantity, so you want it to be drinkable. But it's a malty beer. You want that depth of character there. So I over brew that thing, higher gravity, water it back down. But the higher gravity stuff has merits of its own, and that's what I use to put into the bourbon barrels. And I think that it's such a simple, unassuming beer that it really soaked up those barrel qualities. And it's like there's just a lot of whiskey and wood, and it's really a good representation of what barrel aging can do to a beer.
I honestly use that beer as a training tool almost, because like Jeremy said, that the soft malt, but having the body to kind of hold up to it. But you can pick up all those barrel-aged flavors pretty easily. You get some of the oak, some of the vanilla that's from the tannins of the wood. And it's so noticeable in that beer because of that, soft malt backbone without a ton of competing flavors. And I love all the coffee and chocolate and KBS and the variants, but just the kind of, I shouldn't say simple as a negative, but just the straightforward flavors. Yeah, the stripped down flavors. And then all those great barrel flavors shine through. So it's an awesome beer to even use as an educational tool just to show people what barrel aging can do to a beer.
Yeah, because I don't know that I've ever seen a barrel-aged Oktoberfest ever, or even heard of one. And I'm like, Steve, when I saw it on the shelf, same place I got these KBSs, I was like, I'm getting that. There's no way I'm not going to have that. And I think it's hovering around 10%. I think it's at 10 something.
I think it's right at 10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous beer.
And I know it's been out for a couple of years, right? It's not just been like this past year or so. It's been out a couple of years.
We released it twice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 years in a row.
Will it be an annual release?
I think we got something different planned this year, and then we're going to start alternating. So you'll get it like every other year. Make it even more special. Make you even look forward to it even more.
Well, apparently in Tennessee, we're getting a shit ton of Founders. So whatever's happening distribution-wise, let's keep it up because we're getting it, and we appreciate it.
Yeah,
but
keep on drinking.
Talk about but Jeremy, can you talk about, because we know Oktoberfest season, it's like Christmas, it doesn't last long, and I wish Oktoberfest season, I'm like, can it last like 6 months? But that's okay. We know, like, especially when you go up north, like I'm from Cincinnati, which is the largest Oktoberfest event in the United States. It goes on every year.
Oh, wow.
Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio. Even though I still got these Michigan roots, whatever. But can you really talk about that, though? How much of a hit has that been with you all around Oktoberfest season? Because people that are coming into your brewery, they are looking for Oktoberfest during that time of the year.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. I love because everybody's kind of getting in the game. In fact, it was a long time before I finally. What kept happening is September would roll around and I start to see all these Oktoberfest come on. I'd be like, damn it, I forgot to make Oktoberfest again. I've been meaning to get in on this, but I'm thinking October, but no, it's September. I mean, actually, now I think we released the beer in July or something because
I think it ships in late July to hit shelves in August.
Either way, it's like if you don't put it on your calendar, you're gonna forget to make it. So when I finally was able to make one and I just did it for the tap room, people loved it and they're like, wow, we got to get this out to market. And then they decided to go with a can, which was kind of not being done very often. But they nailed it. They nailed the artwork. Yeah. It looks so freaking cool. And then I think we started doing, a huge pack with 12s or 15s or whatever it started with. And I'm like, you're not gonna be able to sell that much Oktoberfest. What are you guys doing? No, they did. People loved it. Yeah. Ate it right up.
Are you aware? Are there a lot of other breweries that have done barrel-aged Oktoberfest across the country?
I don't think
Not that I know of. Yeah. If it is, it's maybe very small batch just for their own house and not sending it out into the world. But I can't think of another one. So
good for you guys for coming up with that. Mm-hmm. Really, seriously, that's awesome.
Hey, let me ask you
I
this.
said, it's just kind of this is what we do. We put something in a bourbon barrel and may seem innovative, but no, that's pretty common for us.
We should have an episode one time with you guys on, and we just talk about the ones that never made it out of the tap room. I'm going to hear about those.
At this point, Jeremy's like a firefighter when he goes to a call and it's like, you know what? There was the lawn that was on fire, and we just got out the hose and we just put it out. Took 5 minutes, went back to the station. Yeah. He's like that. It's like, hey man, it's what we do. We brew beer. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I will say, like having the bourbon barrel age history, we always have at least 3 or 4 barrels lying around. We'll throw a little bit in there and see what happens. So,
right.
You don't know until you try.
Yeah, might as well.
Do you guys have a recommendation, whether it's KBS or anything barrel age that you guys produce? You know how people will buy them and put them back in a fridge to age longer? Yeah. Is there a recommended thing from the brewery or recommended time? Hey, 3 years is great to continue, or do you guys not even care? Like, does it it doesn't matter? And here's for example,
people are going to do what they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this KBS, this cinnamon vanilla cocoa, it's got a 2021 release date on it on the. So is it already kind of pretty much aged in the bottle?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. By the time it goes in the bottle, we've already aged it in a bourbon barrel for about a year. So, officially, what I like to jokingly tell everybody is if the beer's 4 years old or 4 minutes old, right now is the best time to drink any of those beers. Yeah. But I've spoke to a lot of people like with our regular KBS or even Breakfast Stout. Flavors will start to change and mellow out, but it is a little unpredictable. So, if you find yourself latching on to KBS because the coffee is a little bit more chill and it's too much coffee for you, like Steve was kind of saying maybe with some of the beers, if that happens 2 years later, then that's the perfect time for you to age that beer. So I think the best part is doing like you're talking about is just if you got the full 4-pack, maybe just save one for a little while after you drink the first 3 and leave a great review on, Untapped or something like that. And then, just to see what happens, because it's going to happen to every beer. Some of it's pleasant, some of it's, maybe unpleasant, but as long as you're not holding on to them for, a decade, I think you're going to be okay.
I think you're right. It starts breaking down into something else.
Oh, yeah.
I've been pleasantly surprised. I mean, every time I'll be out, I used to travel a lot more and do events, meet the brewer events, tap takeovers, beer dinners. And often people will be like, "Hey man, I've got this KBS. It's like 13 years old, and I've been waiting for this moment to drink it with you." And I'm always like, "Oh God, no, please, oh please don't gush and be disgusting." But honestly, I've always been pretty impressed at how these beers hold up, honestly, and it's all personal preference. They, like John said, they change over time. The Breakfast Stout or the KBS, fresh is when the coffee is going to be jumping. A year later, it's kind of switches to more of like, the softer chocolate notes come through, and then another year and it's got probably more wood, maybe more tannins and stuff. It depends how you want to drink it. I've been impressed that the way those things hold up, and we put a lot into it. We got top of the line gear, our packaging equipment. That's where it's all at, right? You can make the best beer in the world, and you go to put it in a bottle, and you got a bunch of, the dissolved oxygen or whatever in there. That beer ain't gonna last at all. So, kudos to our team for keeping such high quality standards, and these beers being able to stand the test of time like they do.
Yeah, it's like I've done the barley wine. What's that? Sierra Nevada's Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a vertical for a while, and I had like a 2013, 14, 15, 16, and did the same, and kind of busted them out, and they're all different. And at some point, like you just got to drink the thing.
What I like to tell people is, if you're saving a beer for a special occasion, cool. Like, hey, a buddy of mine's getting married, so I'm gonna hold on to this for his wedding. But if you're just saving them for a rainy day, unless you got a beer fridge in the back of your car, which I don't know about your laws, but we're not allowed to do that in Michigan. So, just plan an event to celebrate the beer, versus waiting around until like it's the right time, because that time never comes. And by the time you look at the crisper drawer in my fridge before my wife and I moved, realize like, holy cow, we have a lot of fun stuff in here. We probably should have been drinking, but
crap, yeah. We missed our boat on it.
Well, once you start having kids, cracking a 750 of 14% beer may or may not be a good idea on a Tuesday, but then you just gotta work your way through it.
Well, 750s were a thing for a while, those big bottles, right? Yeah. And you get a big bottle, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to put it in my fridge for a special occasion because I can't tackle it myself. And maybe not even me and my wife should be, we might need even reinforcements. And then you forget about it, and then eventually the fridge is full of all this beer, and it's getting old. Yeah. And you're like, damn it. So I'm kind of glad that the big bottle phase is kind of gone by the wayside.
Yeah, I used to like to call that "Are you still watching that?" package size, because I was always drink them and fall asleep to Netflix and then wake up to that screen like, yeah, this is a great plan. I had half a bottle and passed out on my own couch. So yeah.
You put some kind of chip on it that links to your phone, and after 3 years, like, hey man, I'm still here.
Yeah. And one of the hard parts too is, occasionally, as you're labeling stuff, the labels might not work out. So they would always kind of give some to the employees anytime we run a special beer. But the downside is if you don't write down what they are or figure it out, you just have this literally blank bottle with a cap on it. You're like, I don't even remember what this is anymore. So we should probably fix it up.
Playing roulette. Roulette. What am I getting?
Yeah. Are you guys whiskey fans? You guys bourbon fans or whiskey fans?
Yeah.
So how there's like allocated stuff, right? Buffalo Trace dropped something and you can't get this and you can't get that. Maybe KBS, but any of your beers, is there anything like that? I'm going to assume KBS, but is there like an allocated thing where people like, oh, this chocolate hazelnut's coming out, we're all dying to get it? Is there anything like that? A certain flavor you guys have come across?
Those variants are generally, all those KBSs are smaller volumes, so I don't think everybody's been able to find them. It's still a few hundred barrels, so that should get its way across the country. And if you're shopping the stores, you'll find it. But that's some of our rarest stuff these days, I'd say, John. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point too, and it sounds like Scott, wherever your bottle shop that you're going to has a selection. To be rivaled with a lot of Michigan stores. So there's stuff like that. There's only so much to go around to everybody. So while it's not trying to be vindictive, places that support us and, have a deeper portfolio.
Sure.
They'll probably get a couple of the cases if we only have so much for each distribution partner. So it'll happen that way.
Much like bourbon does, right? If they got these stores support us, you're going to get a little more of that.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Yep. Talk to us. I keep going back to KBS, but my God, I'm sorry. It's so good. But it's a big deal for you guys too. Like KBS Week. Describe what KBS Week is. This is a big deal for you guys, right? It's a big event.
It was a very large event. I mean, there was a Jeremy, John, and Mike and Dave road show for a little while there, but which was pretty dangerous. But there was a lot of excitement that kind of went around with it. I mean, Jared can talk about it a little bit, but the beer ages for a while, so unless there's a lot of forward planning, you just kind of sometimes have to wait for it to be ready. And everybody was sitting on their edge of their seat like it was a monster truck show, waiting for that to drop at some point. So that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, the whole world-ending pandemic kind of put a stop to a lot of our more fun activities. So we don't, and it's been hard to just kind of get it going again. Many things in the industry, but some of these events in specific. So, KBS Week, it used to be wild. We would go every night through the week. We'd go to several different accounts of ours that have done well, and we would show up, and they would tap the KBS, and everyone would have a good time, and we'd have a beer, and then we'd go to the next place, and we'd do it all over again, and it was fun. That's excitement. It's fun to see people getting excited about beer and about new releases, and it was a cool way to do it. We kind of it was a way for us to kind of give back to the places that support us, because we could have just sold it all out of our own tap room and made all the money ourselves, but no, that was not the right thing to do. So take care of our partners and take care of us.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was a great way to get people that were already in town to try the beer with us to go to a lot of places that, maybe they would have gone to, but, we were legit hosting probably 6 to 8 individual events a day, and then splitting us into 2 teams and each going to like 3 or 4 of them at a time. But it was a great way to go and see some of our friends that are in the industry as well too, which is kind of fun, because most of the folks that are involved in it were just having as much fun as us. And for a while there was a competition of who could blow the keg the fastest and all that fun stuff that went along with it.
Yeah. You want to be a part of that team, I'm sure. As a patron, I'm like, we drank more than you.
Yeah, because of the schedule, we were only usually there for maybe an hour before we moved to the next place, so that allowed us to maybe dodge some of the long-term chaos that would happen at some of these accounts. But I think it was fun, because one of the exciting parts is we would have people that would follow our team to all like 3 or 4 tappings each day, and you'd see the same dude getting more of the same stickers and wanting to take pictures with us at every bar we were at. It was kind of wild.
Yeah, they would. It was wild. They would open the tap and they wouldn't shut it. They would just keep putting glasses underneath it, handing them out.
Yeah,
it was wild.
That's efficient. Well, that reminded me, we had Great Lakes on last year, and their Christmas ale release is kind of an event like that, where they have it's a big deal, and then they pick someone to like be first in line to tap the keg, and it sounds along those lines. It's a big deal like that.
So I have something. I feel like the first beer that I probably ever drank of Founders was the All Day IPA, which I know has been out for a while. But Jeremy, you were even talking about that. Like, you love just being the creative guy of doing variations. That's really expanded, hasn't it? Like, you do a whole lot of different ones now.
Yeah. So, All Day was a bit of an overnight success. It was the right beer at the right time, and it fueled much of our expansion. Like, we didn't have a flagship before All Day. We had Centennial and Breakfast Stout and Dirty, and they all sold, 15-20% of our portfolio. All adds up. Which was not a normal way. If most breweries will like come out with their lead horse thing, and that beer sells, and they do other stuff on the side. But we had this pretty round portfolio of was really helping us. So when All Day did come out to be that and became the flagship, that put us in quite a pinch. We had all the volume from before, plus now we got this thing that was at 50-60% of our output like within the first couple of years. So it was wild. And we did a lot of market studies, and a lot of the feedback we were getting is, people know All Day. People know All Day almost more than they know the name Founders. So, we didn't necessarily want to become the All Day Brewing Company, but we realized that you got to kind of, take advantage of what's already working and what's known, and because marketing dollars are tough to come by, and you can't just start new every time. So a great way to do it is to kind of take something that you're already investing in, that people are already familiar with, and grow it from there. And and All Day did this rocket ship thing, and then it kind of leveled off. So it was a way to keep this brand in the forefront of people's minds, going down that variant path. And much like with the KBS, I'm really looking for flavors and styles that fit. Now, unfortunately, within IPA, there's lots of sub styles, so I've been able to dabble in all these various sub styles and make an all day version of it. And like I said, I was a bit resistant at first, but it's made it pretty fun. Now because I have drank so much all day in my life, I get pretty excited, and you'll probably find in my fridge right now whatever the new variant is instead of regular all day. Even though I'm the one that was like, no, we're not gonna do that, but it's true. It's fun, and it keeps it fresh. And like I said, I'm proud of all the beers that have come out of that series too. So.
Well, and I think our customers. Yep. Oh, sorry. I think our customers know that if it's all day, it's going to be 5% or below, so it's a little bit more manageable sometimes. I've joked before that my kids wake up at the same time regardless of what I did the night before, so a couple all days might be a little easier sometimes than something else.
I know it is named appropriately because I drink beer kind of, as you can tell. I like new ones all the time and try to do and when I go by to the store, I buy individuals and the whole thing, but All Day is one of those ones, especially in the summer. I will buy a case of, because you need that crushable stuff, whether you're at the beach or you're cutting grass or you're working in the yard. And the ABV, John, like you said, is at that point where you literally can drink it all day. And I think it's named appropriately. And it's one of the few beers I will actually buy a case of to have in the fridge versus single.
Well, that's kind of my vision for it. I don't want to compare All Day to like Bud Light, but if that's your beer, you keep that in the fridge and that's your go-to. And in the craft world, sure, go try this other new IPA of ours or anybody else's. But what you really want to make sure you have that 15-pack, that great value of a low alcohol beer that is just enjoyable to drink all the way through, and you can have several of them and carry on with your regular activities. I mean, that's what that beer was made for. We were all getting way too drunk on Centennial IPA because it was our best IPA, and we all loved IPA, and it's almost 7.5% alcohol, and that was like, this is not sustainable at all. We have to do something for ourselves, and I think the rest of the world was in a similar situation, judging by how that brand took off for us.
Well, and I know there's other breweries that do this because, and I know you all do it too with the IPAs. I was in the store the other day. I saw when you do the mix packs, which I think is fantastic, because you'll have 4 or 5 different variations in there. And you say, for people that they want something different, they just don't want to drink the Founders All Day IPA all day, but they love your brand. I mean, that's marketing too. I mean, what a fantastic thing to do.
Yeah, it's been
great. The biggest hurdle of variety packs are those. Is the packaging side. So shout out to all of our packaging friends that make them not only with us but everywhere, because getting those in there is kind of nice. But like you mentioned, at stores, it can also allow you to introduce new beers that people haven't had before, with the the safety of a couple brands that they're familiar with, like that All Day or whatever else might be mixed in there. So I think it makes it kind of fun, because the variety, being the spice of life, and consumers, like we touched on earlier, are just more willing to try new things. So easy to get in that way.
For sure. Do you guys, we have St. Patrick's Day coming up. I mean, it's not far from now. Do you guys do any kind of St. Patrick's Day stuff, whether it be beer or something in the tap room?
I don't think we have any special things planned. Usually that night and the night before get pretty just naturally busy, and people like to come down and they'll enjoy our we do an oatmeal stout on nitro, much like a Guinness. That'll be pretty popular. Sometimes I've made some other like Irish amber beers and stuff, but I don't know. Probably not so much. I'm probably gonna stay away myself and enjoy some corned beef and cabbage with the family. And
yeah, I think there's always a couple favorites. Breakfast Stout people will tend to gravitate towards a little bit, but yeah, I think in our advanced age, the chaos that is the St. Patty's Day, sometimes it's easy to celebrate at 4:00 and, work our way back to the houses a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, a lot of those events anymore, it's like, let's just get together with some friends or something and just, hang out and just kind of do that thing as opposed to being out.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are involved in founders themselves involved in some community initiatives and things. Freshwater Future, I think. I saw something about MSU Extension. Can you talk about some of those initiatives?
Yeah, I'm actually on our committee that does a lot of our partnerships. So being a brewery, as we've touched on, it's 90% water. So it just makes sense for us to be involved in keeping that water usable, not only for us, but Michigan has so much of that fresh water. It's very important to not only our tourism, but the brewing industry. So that partnership was actually, kind of easy, but we try to work with some national charities and some local ones. So even though the MSU Extension is Michigan State University based, they do have national reach as an agricultural program to kind of boost farmers, which the farming population might be getting a little older here in the U.S. So just kind of helping that, which honestly benefits us as well too. We are users of grain and hops, which have to be grown somewhere, and for us that helps out the industry. But we want to be good partners with our community, which we do focus a lot of our giving in Michigan, but with that partnerships, we try to look everywhere that it'll benefit not only the industry, but making just the outdoors more usable and enjoyable for everybody. So
awesome. It has to be sustainable. You need that sustainable water so that we can keep making beer and we can keep drinking it, and which we will keep
if anything were to happen, it would drastically affect the beer industry for sure. But then, being a larger company here in Grand Rapids, we to some extent want to lead by example, but we want to help everybody out because not only are they our customers, but mostly they're our neighbors and friends. So that's why we want to just kind of give back whenever we can, and then evaluate those partnerships where we can be most beneficial.
Awesome.
For sure. Well, guys, we're taking up a lot of your time. You've given us extra time. I got 100 more. We'll have you back if you'll come back.
Or is there like a rapid fire section where we just do them all quick in like 5 minutes?
I was gonna feel like, I talk about you guys had like $1 million renovation of the tap room, and I'll tell you what. Let's end on this, or if Steve's got something else, but I'll end on this. We mentioned Untapped earlier. We've learned early on that brewers or breweries don't love Untapped, especially small ones. You guys might not care. What is your opinion? First of all, your shit is ranked really high in Untapped, so
we love it.
Yeah. So there's my question.
Your beer ranks high for me on Untapped.
Yeah.
Are you users of Untapped personally, and do you guys care about Untapped as a brewery?
I don't look at it a whole lot. I used to, even before Untapped, I mentioned like Beer Advocate and Rate Beer earlier. I mean, I used to kind of follow those, especially when I would like release a new beer. Just because those seem to get a little more descriptive with their feedback, whereas Untapped is almost just more like, hey, I had this beer, here's the score, and not a lot of, it's not very helpful to me, but overall the sheer number of users is helpful. We started a thing in our own tap room, like on our Founders app. I wanted people to like rate like some of these like one-offs that I do just for the tap room. I wanted some feedback on these things, and everyone's out there drinking them, and I was like, man, I wish I could just capture everyone's opinions on this thing. So we started trying to get people to log into the app, and hey, you'll give you a discount on this beer if you log in and give it a rating. But it was tough coming. It was tough to generate enough volume to really do anything about it. So from that respect, Untapped is still probably the best big picture view of what people think of a new beer of yours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly used to use it a lot more than I do now because I was just checking in the same 2 beers over and over again. It felt more like I was, reporting myself like, well, I drank again. So it, I can only check in, Mortal Bloom and Red Dry so many times and not change the rating on it. So, but I do think it's kind of cool. One of the things I do look at though, is when I do travel, maybe to check out some of the beers that I haven't had, just to see like, hey, I've never been to this brewery before. What are some of the more popular ones? Just not like as homework, but just out of my own curiosity. So that's where I do think it's helpful. But like Jer said, if you follow certain people, they'll give you, whatever the character max is, feedback on the beer. Otherwise, it's just a picture of the pint with a couple stars on it. So it depends on what you're using it for. But I think it's just fun. It's just a way to get engagements because, like you mentioned, you can see what your friends are doing on it sometimes, which, may people feel like they're left out a little bit, but you guys need to repair that relationship with Steve drinking all that great beer he brought back. But, so that I think is the fun part of it. But yeah, I did enjoy it, but I use it a little bit more sporadically now, just like I said, when I'm looking for a little info on a specific place, maybe.
Yeah, and I think the thing where the breweries hate it is that whole, hey, you're getting a 2 for this KBS because I don't like Imperial Stout.
They don't like it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. So if you could throw it like highs and lows, or even just the lows, you know, but like you said, the big picture, you guys have enough ratings on a lot of these beers. You're like, okay, we get it. You're averaging a 4.3. I think it's pretty good. You know?
Yeah, after your 12,000th all day review, that needle's not moving a whole lot at this point anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. And you idiot that gave it a 2.
Yeah, but I can say that too. I honestly think some of the negative feedback is just kind of fun. Like, great flavor, but it doesn't need to be 12%, 1 star. I was like, you just admitted you loved it. Why are you rating it so low? Like,
oh my gosh, it was too high for me. Yeah. Hey, and so before we get you out of here today, we want to talk about very briefly, if people are in the Grand Rapids area and they're going to your brewery, you do tours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I walk people through. We get some samples, kick the tires a little bit. We have a catwalk, so we're away from the floor, and excuse me, our high-lows don't run into anybody since they don't like to push the brakes if they don't have to. But and then we do offer some samples, but then having the tap room, like I mentioned, there's about 35 great things that people can try here as well too. So if you want to check it out, you can come in through our website, so you can look, or you can email tours at Founders Brewing, and they all come right to me. So yeah, we can answer any questions that you have, but it's worth the trip, because even if you love Founders, there's only about 40 other breweries in about a 30-mile radius of the
area. hey, it's because of your website that I'm looking at, Experience Grand Rapids. So you know you're putting the work in. That's why they're sturdy.
Gotta do it.
I would say check that website out too, is experiencegr.com, because there's some cool stuff on there too. So I think it's just as far as the whole city goes. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they work with a lot, and they'll just list concerts and events that are going on. They have a whole section of free stuff. So if you're just looking for something to, break up the monotony, if you live close by or you don't want to spend too much money, they have all that stuff listed on there. So great partnership. The tap room here has amazing food. We just renovated a little bit to keep up with that, because historically, 15 years ago, people were just drinking and occasionally got a sandwich when they felt guilty about drinking. But now we've seen people are coming here for an experience, which includes food as well as the beer. So that's where a lot of that renovation went to.
The little $1 million renovation in the tap room.
Only.
We got French fries now.
Yeah. We never had them. But, there was
next time you guys come pick up.
When you can seat, roughly 650 people, the kitchen needs to keep up with that. That's where our big struggle was, is just the size, because we are a large space for people to hang out and enjoy beers at. So the kitchen needs to be able to keep up with that large space. So
yeah, for sure. Well, I made a note over here. I'm going to Founders. I'm getting to Founders. I didn't before this interview. I don't know if I ever got to Michigan. Now, it's high on the list.
It's just a short, 10-hour drive, I think. I've gone through before.
The destination's worth it.
Well,
it's all downhill on the way home.
So the joke on a previous podcast was when I talked about my trip up there, because the first conversation my buddy had when he was like, "You're going to come up," he's like, "Are you going to drive? Are you going to fly?" It's only 8 hours if you drive. Well, I flew. And the flight up was fine, but the flight back was connection flights and delays, and it was 14 hours. And I'm like, what in the hell did I do? Yeah. What did I do? What an idiot I was. But live and learn, and the next time I am driving.
He just got back yesterday.
Yeah.
But the main important thing was the Founders beer survived, and that was the important thing.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff.
All right,
guys, thank you so much. This is a really big deal for us. Big fans anyway. We were going to drink the beer anyway. I was going to go buy those beers at the liquor store anyway. I was. Oh, real quick, my buddy and I had. We took over the Growler's place the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and we brought 11 Founders beers, mostly KBS's.
Ooh.
We had Panther Cub, we had Curmudgeon's Better Half, French Toast Bastard 2023, Fruitwood. We had 11, and we had them around the table, and we were just sharing it with people around there, and it was all Founders, and that was before we knew you guys were even coming on. So
that's perfect. That's exactly what we were talking about. Find a reason to celebrate it, as opposed to hiding it in your crisper drawer like I did because there's not enough vegetables in the fridge probably. But,
and that's really where it stemmed from. I had some I was aging. He had some. Why are we drinking this?
So let's get together and drink.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. We pulled them all out and we shared them with everyone, and there were none left.
Perfect.
Guys, we appreciate it. Cheers to Jeremy and John from Founders Brewing. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
for joining us.
Because I have an empty glass. So. We appreciate it. We loved it. Thanks for having us.
Oh, Cheers. Thank you guys so much. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See ya.